Hello everyone, my name is Gabby, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super review. This time we're reviewing episode 30. There's 4 days to go until the tournament, and Goku and Vegeta are left to choose the last 2 members. Going by pure strength, they decide to choose Buu and Piccolo, who both agree. Goten and Trunks aren't allowed to fuse, and Gohan has a conference that day, so they're out of the picture. Everyone makes their arrangements for training as the awaited day comes even closer. So, what did I like about this episode? Well, there are a lot of very interesting and very cute character interactions. Obviously, between Goku and Vegeta, that has been a thing that's been going on for the last few episodes, and it's still happening now. Just the way Goku's always rushing ahead, Vegeta's more sort of cautious, staying back, and it's just always a very fun interaction. Then there's also Beerus and Whis going around, Beerus being the selfish cat god, Whis sort of going and trying to hold him back as well, and also the fact that Beerus and Whis were having kind of interesting conversation, just sort of talking about, each other, and kind of reflecting on events, which was something I didn't really expect to happen, but I thought was really interesting because it made them feel more like actual characters, members of the cast, and actually, important characters who actually react to things, but as opposed to just sort of, these gods who were just sort of above everything. I mean, there was Whis saying that, Goku and Beerus in a way are actually quite similar, even though Beerus kind of disagrees, and then there was Beerus sort of asking, why Whis was so eager to train Goku and Vegeta in the first place. Something which really we haven't gotten the proper answer for, so I'm really curious about that. It sort of implied that maybe Whis had some kind of ulterior motive for training Goku and Vegeta. Something I'm not sure if that is true or not, but hey, the anime actually kind of mentioned it, so I am really curious to see if that's an actual plot point that will be brought up later on. Also, I've got to say, this episode was a lot nicer to the cast than the manga was. I'm talking about Gohan, really. In the manga, they do a sort of thing, they try and sort of say is Gohan gonna come? And then Goku just sort of shuts it down, and then after that, it skips the tournament, and it's where's Gohan? He is at a conference. And honestly, it wasn't particularly nice to his character, but hey, at least in the anime, they had him training, and they had him say he wanted to come, only to realize that, hey, I actually do have a conference on, and I've probably been waiting for that for a few months, and maybe this isn't exactly such a big deal, so that's what they give legitimate reasons as to why Gohan is sitting this out. They're no longer just trying to just trample on his character anymore, they're more just saying, okay, he's not in this arc, but we're going to give you a reason, so it's a little bit better. I mean, like I said, I was not expecting Gohan to start training again, so basically Dragon Ball Super has been really surprising me. And then there was the fact that Vegeta was saying that, if Goten and Trunks wanted to participate in the tournament, they'd have to do it by themselves, and then they didn't. I've always wanted, a sort of potential arc for Goten and Trunks to be, trying to not rely on fusion all the time, and realizing that they'd have to fight by themselves, and if that is, once again, it's just a throwaway line, but it could mean something later on in the series, and if that is true, that would be really cool. As for what I didn't like about this episode, well, let's address the elephant in the room. It was kind of a recap episode, in that, the entire half of the episode seemed to consist of just flashbacks to previous material in Dragon Ball Super, and just sort of explaining everything to the audience. The reason why this is stupid is because this is episode 30, and they were doing recaps to episode 28. I don't think people have forgotten what happened 2 weeks ago. In terms of recap episodes themselves, it wasn't the worst. They had some interesting interactions between Goku and the narrator early on, and then after that all of the other flashbacks seemed to come for legitimate reasons, and they felt like they were actually part of the story. But, when you want to watch and when you want to get a new episode and then you realize that most of this is just recapping stuff you've already seen, it's bound to be disappointing. But at the same time, a recap episode can sometimes be good because it sort of gives the animators a bit of a break that week, or that month, or however long they're getting to work on the episode, because there's less stuff for them to do. So really, if this was intentional, this will be a good thing because it means the animators will have a bit more time for their next episode. If this was a thing they had to do, then because they had no time to put an actual full length episode out, then that just shows how rushed the production of this show is. And we cannot deny it, Dragon Ball Super has been incredibly rushed. That's why it doesn't look up to standards. It's rushed, and the only way to probably make this better is either one, Toei goes on a 6-month break with Dragon Ball Super and give them more time to draw things, which they are not going to do because that would kill all the momentum, or they try and use a lot more animation shorthands and just sort of ways they don't have to draw as much, like they're doing now with this recap episode. And honestly, I think I'd prefer a recap episode than like padding and repeated frames within like a fight scene. So this isn't very good, but it could be worse, and it might mean that they're trying to fix things for the next few episodes. As for next episode, we're taking another little detour before the tournament starts, and that is Bulma and Jaco going on an adventure to find the last Super Dragon Ball. You know, this is the kind of thing that if you were just sort of watching it without much foresight, you'd think it's sort of filler, but this is going to be rather significant, or at least a little bit. Is it like, we're getting the last Dragon Ball, here's some little adventures as to why, and we get to see more Bulma, and we get to see more Jaco, so I'm gonna find it very interesting. So that was Dragon Ball Super episode 30. What they put in was okay. It was a recap episode. It was a recap episode that seemed to make no sense. It says a lot more about the out of universe production issues than the actual in universe what's happening in Dragon Ball Super right now. But at the same time, it could have been worse. And the fact that they did make this recap episode makes me think that they're trying to solve things and they're trying to improve things for the new material. So I guess that's just something. Basically, I'll take my fair share of mediocre episodes as long as the episodes that are actually important do look good and are well written and everything. So this is Gabby, signing out, and I'll see you all next week. Bye guys!